and body of human being. So itself is a great example of incompleteness. And if we talk about the rasa theory, it has been originated in ancient India by the well-known sage Bharat Muni. Basically, it is all about the aesthetic flavor of reader or any what we can say a reader or the spectacles. It is not all about just meaning or just interpretation or criticism, but it's all about an aesthetic flavor of that reader or spectator after reading that or just watching that performance or that performative art. For this research, next. Research objectives are first to analyze Haywadan in light of Rus, second is to identify Rus in Haywadan, and third one is to analyze how Rus is used in this play Haywadan. And the hypothesis is there is no dominant Rus in Haywadan. Next. Research methodology. Next. Uh, this is purely a qualitative research method type of research, and researcher has taken one play from Indian English literature and it has been analyzed in the light of rasa, considering four basic elements of rasa sutra: vibhav, anubhav, vyabhichari bhav, and sthai bhav. Next. Rasa theory. As I have mentioned, so I'm not going for that origin and history. The Rasa Sutra is Vibhavanubhava Vyabhikari Samyogad Rasa Nispatti. Means Vibhav, Anubhav, Vyabhikari Bhav, they all together and they appeals to the Sthai Ras, and then it leads to the Ras realization or what we call Ras Nispatti. These concepts are explained here like Vibhava are the just causes or mainsprings of emotions. It can be of two types, Alamban and Udvipan. It depends on whether they are human being or non-human being. Anubhav, it is consequences or it is expression of bodily expressions. And Vyabhikari Bhava means transitory state. Sthai Bhava dominant. There are 8 dominant Sthai Bhavas in our human body according to Bharat. Next. Researcher has tried to analyze entire the play in light of Ras, and it has been found out that there are this kind of Ras realized throughout this play through various kind of characters, situations, that various dramatic techniques like Girish Karnad has used proper dramatic technique like Natya Sutradhar means the narrator. Another technique is the use of puppets, the use of masks. These kind of techniques are used, though it is complete in itself. But when we realize in light of, when we analyze in light of rasa, there are rasas like Hatya ras is there. Actually, we find like Hatya ras is dominated. Somewhere we find like Sringara ras is dominated as the love between two friends, Kapil and Devdutt, love between Devdutt and Padmini as they are couples. The love or attraction that is not exactly defined between Kapil and Padmini. Another story of that Haywadan's mother, there is also the love that princess has love with that particular horse. So there is also love in such circumstances. Whenever we realize Sringara Ras, Bhayankar Ras, many times we realize, but particularly at the climax of the story, that bloody end of that both the friends, that is very much horrible for us to read even and to. I have analyzed it as the point of view of reader, not as a spectator. So when I just read it, it's horrible. And Virus, it originated from energy, and all the characters are mostly energetic and they are strong in their determination. So all these rasas are present, we can realize while reading it. But entirely it is based on like satire to many of the human life vices. Like it is some kind of like we are in search of something, but we never realize that in search of something we are just losing what we have. Next, please. This is one example of Sringara's realization in detail. When Padmini says to Kapila, in her mind only, what an ethereal self, such a broad back like an ocean with muscles wrapping across it, and then that small feminine waist, that feminine waist of Kapil. Here the attractive outlook of Kapil is the Vibhava. It is Alamban Vibhav as Kapil is a human being. Uh, the garden and the tree on which Kapila climbs is also Vibhav, but that is Udipan Vibhav as that trees and that garden they are non-human things. So Udipan Vibhav. Anubhav is the opened eyes of Padmini constantly looking at the Kapila's body if you look at the characters. But when we just read this, we also feel something like that, which appeals to the dominant state of love, which results into the realization of Sringara ras or the erotic sentiment. Next. What do you think? Conclusion, it can be said that there is no dominant rus in this play, but it is a well mixture of several emotions, what we have discussed, and a skillful use of dramatic techniques through the use of effective language. Next, these are the references. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to give one instruction is that in a podium, one Bluetooth is here. So please kindly don't remove it. It is connected with audio for your presentation record here. So our next presenter is, I would like to call Vrunda Thakur. Please, ma'am.
Namaskaram. My name is Vrinda Thakur, and my title is A Study of Toxicology with reference to Shakespeare's famous work Romeo and Juliet. Now, please, next. This is the abstract that I have submitted, but let us move quickly to the introductory part. Now, the question arises that when researcher got the topic, the very first question was arise that what is toxicology? So, according to article of National Institute of Environmental Health and Science, toxicology is a field of science that help us to understand the harmful effect that chemical substance or situation can have on people or any other human being. Now, can we find toxicology in literature? Not in a figurative way, but in the literal meaning also. So the answer would be yes. Sorry. Of course, yes. A big yes. So where? In the literature, in the very early stage, in the play of Euripides, the media, Johnson's wife was killed with the poisonous dress that was caught was poisonous, and the wife was killed. Similarly, can we find this toxicology or the reference of toxins in the Shakespearean work? So answer would be again yes. Yes, in Hamlet, upon my secure ears, and the quotations goes on that my uncle pour poison in my father's ear. So quotation is that. Even even besides the Hamlet, there is a reference of Midsummer's Night when we have a flower. Again, moving further, we have the same reference. We have the toxin in the Romeo and Juliet, and researchers the main motive is also same use of toxins in Romeo and Juliet. Now, please next. This is the research paper that researcher has used and took reference from. Uh, Thank you. Researcher has used method of descriptive and textual analysis with primary sources, original text. Researcher has explored secondary sources also With this method, researcher has examined how Shakespeare used toxin in a characterization and parallelly in ending not or in death. Please. Data analysis. Poison in a both way figurative and literal meaning. Researcher finds that while analyzing Romeo and Juliet, there are reference of both in figurative way also, in maybe in a characterization or maybe in the structure of characters, and also in a literal meaning. If I am not wrong, there is a reference of deadly nightshade in the Romeo and Juliet. Again, the Juliet's unconscious state under the influence of poison. This is the second thing that researcher has found, that when Juliet was unconscious, yet it is not called poison in a proper meaning, but there was something that can make Juliet's unconscious for a little bit or a little time. And the third is Romeo's demand for a quick poison that can kill him straight. Now moving further, these are the direct quotations from the text. Within the infant reign of this small flower, poison hath resistance and medicine power. For this being smelt, with that part cheers each part. Being tested, stays all the senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still. In a man as well, herbs, grace, and rude will. This quotation is from Act 2, Scene 3, where Friar talks about the plant that have both the qualities of medicine and also a poisonous or vicious element. This is the second quotation. Put this in any liquid thing, you will and drink it off. If you had a strain of 20 men, it would dispatch you straight. When Romeo finds that Juliet is no more, yet she was alive, but Romeo believes that she is dead, and so he asks for a poison that kills him straight, and so he can live a little bit longer with the Juliet soul, and he can meet her maybe in heavenly gate or something. So Romeo demands for poison that can kill him, and his friend got him the poison and says that drink it off, and if you had the strength of 20 men, it would dispatch you straight. So it directly references that in Elizabethan time, yet the age was not so what we call not so inventory, but something was there that can kill you straight. Even after 180 years, we had chemicals that can make you kill, or that can make you unconscious. There is thy gold worse in a poison to man's soul. This is from Act 5. Romeo mourns over Juliet. This is a description, and the quotation is: "Here's to my love, O truly apothecary, my thigh drugs are quick, thus with a kiss I die." And he says that this drug, whatever you have provided me, is so quick that even with a kiss, I will die forever, and I will be with my lover forever. This from Act 5, Scene 3. Moving further, this is the table where researcher finds the element or vicious chemical compound. In prologue, we are unable to find. Act 1, there is no element that is related to poison. Yes, the characters are somewhere which have vicious characteristics for them, but in a literal meaning, there is no there is no chemical compound. But in Act 2, Scene 3, as I have discussed earlier, in Scene 3, we have the reference of flower that have both the qualities of medicine and the poisonous or vicious effects. And then directly in Act 5, Scene 1 and 2, that deals with the poison and the vicious element, where the Juliet takes the potion to be unconscious for a little while, and then Romeo drinks the poison that kills him. Moving further, these are the findings that researchers have found. In the final act of Romeo and Juliet, our tragic heroine takes poison to fake her own death and places her into a catatonic scene. Many believe the potion is most likely to be nightshade, Atropa belladamite. It's a scientific name of the poison, a plant native to Europe. Others candidates that are found in the nature could have been the seeds of bulrush plant or a herb called the leopard ban. Both of these plants are toxic. However, none would have the capacity to induce coma with the heartbeat so low. Huh? Okay. With a heartbeat so slow, it could be mistaken for death. And upon finding Juliet and believing her to be dead, Romeo used power to fast-acting poison to take his own life. So this was as a researcher, this was the findings that there is a direct reference of poison and even for the element that makes people or that makes human beings unconscious for a while. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh,
Krishna Arya presented her paper on the aesthetic level. Aesthetic is become the lesser theory, everything almost from birth and illustrating that from his Bernard's work. Very nice presentation, nice observations. The quite are different subjects, different fields from all the papers. Actually, there is multiplicity of people. Yes, it seems unity and diversity here. Yes, 14 participants all have different subjects, almost beginning from Bharat and earlier, even Valmiki, Ramayana, and today's alchemist or say two person part. And all these works are taken. Yes, nice examples she has got. Nicely. And, yes, gone through all the acts of Romeo and Juliet and the medicinal use of say the vegetation and the drugs as well as the poisonous effects. Very nice presentation. Okay. Um, and they show no photo. Disha P. Disha. Disha P. Karya from Junagadh. As they are from Junagadh and they have to move to Junagadh, we will distribute it. Vrunda Thakur, Vrunda H. Indicators. The question was also made.
બે બાર દિવસે પતાવી દઈએ પછી તમે દેવાનો option. Cancel કરો. Okay. Attention, please. For our next presentation, I would like to call Vruti Dave. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon all. I'm presenting a paper on Ma Shweta Devi, giving voice to the voiceless, with special reference to subaltern studies. That is my area of the paper. So, the history of subaltern studies. The word has a long past. In late medieval English, it applied to vassals and peasants. By 1700, it denoted lower ranks in the military, suggesting peasant origins. By 1800, authors writing from a subaltern perspective published novels and histories about military campaigns in India and America, and G.R. Glade, 1796 to 1888, who wrote biographies of Robert Clive, Warren Hastings, and Thomas Munro, masters this genre. The Great War provoked popular accounts of subaltern life in published memoirs and diaries. And soon after the Russian Revolution, Antonio Gramsci, 1891 to 1973, began to weave ideas about subaltern identity into theories of class struggle. Lenin. Next. This quote by David Lenin gives the necessary details about the history of subaltern studies. Initially, this word was not dealing with any class struggle or any conflicting aspects of society. It was about lower ranks in peasantry and military. By 1800, authors have started to think on issues of society from a subaltern's perspective. Antonio Gramsci, 1891 to 1973, started to highlight and describe subalternity in the form of class struggle. Gramsci elaborates duality of power with the role of art and culture in it. He divides application of power in two parts. One is the state of ruling class, which ensures the subordination of the other classes. Second is the civil society, which comprises ideological institutions like schools, church, and literature, etc. The ruling class state ensures the same subordination, but not through oppression, but making the ruled class agree to be ruled by the medium of their organic intellectuals. To stop this ideological oppression, the subordinate class needs to produce their own intellectuals by education, and they must have to form their own cultural hegemony. This is the observation of Gramsci, which he reflects in his theory of subaltern studies. Subaltern studies in India, next. Starting from Edward Said, Baba, Ranjit Guha, Shahid Amin, David Arnold, Gautam Bhadra, Deepesh Chakrabarti, Parth Chatterjee, David Hardiman, Gyanendra Pandey, and Gayatri Chakrabarti Spivak, all these writers have contributed in shaping the history from below. Ranjit Guha, with his 7 friends, started publishing volumes of essays titled Subaltern Studies, writing on South Asian history and society. The volumes were published annually from 1982, edited by Guha. His another book, Elementary Aspects of Peasant Insurgency in Colonial India, 1983, is considered to be a classic. Next. Post-colonialism and subaltern studies. Post-colonial studies deal with effects of cultural displacements by imperial conquest and domination on personal and communal identities. It challenges hegemony of the ruling powers, the system of values that supports imperialism at every level. Specifically, the issues with which it deals are issues of race and ethnicity, language, gender identity, class, and at most, power. The beginning of post-colonial studies can be considered by the publication of Orientalism by Edward Said, the Palestinian American critic, in 1978. Baba is another leading post-colonial theorist who observes what actually happens in the cultural introspection interaction between colonizers and colonized. Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak is the third most influential post-colonial critic, trying to put into notice the colonized that is unvoiced or unheard in history, written by mainstream history, which is written by mainstream, as it were silenced or were not allowed to make itself heard. Next, Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak. Spivak is the first outspoken post-colonial theorist with a fully feminist agenda. In her influential essays, deconstructing historiographies and Can the Subaltern Speak, Spivak questions the possibility of voicing the voiceless. For this purpose, she shifted from modern literature to the discipline of comparative literature and translated third world text into English for the first world scholars. The political aim of her work is to articulate the voice and political agency of oppression subjects in the third world. She highlights the plight of the colonized as a whole, who are oppressed, unheard, exploited, and silenced, but she finds women doubly unheard and invisible under patriarchal culture. Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak again. She asserts it in an interview by Leon de Kock that subaltern is not just a classy word for the oppressed, for other, for somebody who is not getting the piece of pie. In post-colonial terms, that is limited or no access to the cultural imperialism is subaltern, a space of difference. Many people want to claim subalternity. They are the least interesting and most dangerous. I mean, just by being a disseminated against minority on the university campus, they don't need the word subaltern. They should see what the mechanics of the discriminations are. They are within the hegemonic discourse, wanting a piece of and not being allowed. So let them speak, use the hegemonic discourse. They should not call them subaltern. Spivak. Spivak is an exceptional post-colonial translator whose feminist approach magnetically gets attracted towards her compatriot Bengali writer Mashweta Devi, who is working and writing to give voice to the voiceless, neglected, ignored, and bypassed, to put them at the margins of respectability. Spivak's thirst for socially committed literature gets well satisfied in Devi's literary ode. Next, Mashweta Devi. Mashweta Devi, in her Times of India interview of 5th January 2000, says that my social activism is the driving force of all my literary activities. Further, she writes in her introduction of the five plays that, I quote, a responsible writer standing at a turning point in history has to take stand in defense of the exploited, otherwise history would never forgive him. I desire a transformation of the present social system. After 31 years of independence, I find my people still groaning under hunger, landlessness, indebtedness, and bonded labor. An anger, luminous, burning, and passionate, directed against a system that has failed to liberate my people from these constraints, is the only source of inspiration for all my writings. Next, now directly go to the last slide. These are the few points: political activism, principled politics, and all I have made this fabricated in it. Now, activists start, and last the conclusion. How Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak finds Mahashweta Devi in connection with her subaltern theories. Here she writes that, in conclusion, Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, in her interview with Angela Ingram, asserts that another thing I really felt being in India was the difference in the women's movement. It involves itself much more with problem areas for women, and I must say that they also go beyond just problem areas for women. When it involves the kind of problems other than the problems women's group might have, or women as a gender have, they go beyond that and tackle the stuff. And I was very much more interested in such persons, not as an observer, but in terms of wanting to connect and wanting and trying to be really their friend. That's something I felt strongly about, the work, for example, that I, in a minor way, do as a sort of Mashweta Devi's hunch woman with the tribals. I unquote Spivak. Here, Spivak finds Mashweta Devi's literary oeuvre quite related to the subaltern studies, and she, from all the aspects, assesses Mashveda's every fictional fiction and come to the conclusion that she wants to work as a hunch woman with Mashveta. Thank you. These are the references.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. For next research paper presentation, I would like to call.
Shall I put this? Do I have music? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vipul Dabi, a research scholar from the same university. Today I will be talking on Arvind Adiga's Last Man in Tower. Yes, sorry. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I am Vipul Dabi, a research scholar from the same university. I will be talking on Arvind Adiga's Last Man in Tower, the ambivalence of modern India. So we can see that as an audience, or rather as a people of a country, we find that whatever Arvind Adiga is trying to portray, some even in most of his novels, he has written 5 novels, but in his 5 novels, he's not providing any solution, a particular solution, and that is more makes rather we can say to the audience more ambiguous to look at those things. Yeah, and sometimes we feel that from where we can get that meaning, actually what he's trying to say, and even sometimes we feel that what he's trying to say is like he's trying to say that this is happening because of capitalism. Rather, he is calling crony capitalism. So this is the title. This is the outline which I want to focus upon: introduction, definition of ambivalence, the locus of ambivalence in the novel Last Man in Tower, Vishramites, which is called to these residents of that society. Then master the death of academia against individual happiness. What prompts the ambivalence? Then conclusion and references. So this is the basic introduction. The story is about Dharmen Shah, who is a developer. Rather, he is the owner of so-called building which is located in Mumbai. There are so many residents living in that building, but now he is in a way inclined to tear out that building, and he wants to create a luxurious resort over there. saying that I want to earn lots of money. Sometimes we feel that he has also he had some bitter experience of past, which in a way prompts him to do such thing. So that is the main concern which we see. And on the other side, yeah, there is this master who is the teacher, or rather a retired teacher, who is against this Dharmen Shah, who is the builder. In a way, he's a capitalist, and against him there is this socialist. This academic again is connected with this teacher. So Yogesh, basically it is against this capitalism and socialism. This Yogesh Murthy, a retired teacher, is representing socialism, and then there is this Dharmen Shah, who is a builder, who is a capitalist. The story focuses upon that story. Last Main Tower by Arvind Adiga documents the rivalry of two men who are interested in owning the same flat in Mumbai. The novel is neighbor turn against neighbor. Though they are neighbors, they are against each other now. Yeah, that is what capitalism has done. Then, to secure the flat, each of his own purposes causes them to participate in increasingly dastardly scheme. The novel revolves around the theme of greed and how it has the power to drive us to do things which we never dreamed we were capable. So this greed, again, he is criticizing this idea of greed and how it can make us evil. This is the definition of ambivalence. There are three definitions I have put. The state of having two opposing feelings at the same time, of being uncertain about how you feel. Again, this main term is connected with psychological term, borrowed from the German word ambivalence. It is coined in 1910 by the Swiss psychologist Eugen Blur. That is again given by him. And then there is this another definition, simultaneous and contradictory attitude or feeling, such as attraction or repulsion. So we are, as an audience, we are not sure whom to support. Whether we have to support this Dharmen Shah because he's offering lots of money, which we never dreamt of throughout the life. And at the same time, there are these people who think that they are not going to get such amount of money throughout their life. So they are in a way tempted to go on the side of Dharmen Shah. But at the end, what happens? They have this guilt. They are choosing the path of, in a way, we can say that which is not appropriate for the common people. So in post-colonial theory, the mixture of the charm, the revulsion in the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized. This again, it is connected in the colonial sense. The locus of ambivalence in the novel Last Man in Tower. This is my focal points of this presentation. Where do we find these things, ambivalence? So these are some examples. See, Vishram itself, like in English we can say shelter, where we feel solace, or we can say have a bond with people. But see, there is no bond, there is no feeling, there is nothing. There is guilt only. So this is the first word, Vishram, society. There is a paradox of development. Then Dharmen Shah's life, so if we look at Dharmen Shah's life, he had a lot of bitter experiences in the past, and that is what makes him brutal. He's not able to select the path of, or rather, we can say, a path which can lead them or all the people for a better society. Then there is this Mrs. Pinto. She is a lady character in the novel. She has memorized all the layout of that same building. Now, see, the question for her is like, again, she will have to memorize all this new layout of that new building. So there is this memory, as we have seen in our first plenary session. What is memory? So this question is arising with this Miss Pinto. Then Mrs. Rego, she had some past experience again, which her uncle himself seated with same deal. Like they will offer some money and then you will get such type of happiness in the future. But actually it is not happening. So she is skeptical about this such scheme of Dharmen Shah. Mrs. Kadwa, again, cooperative society, is also living there. He has also the same concern, Mary, livelihood, then this Ajwani, Masterji, memory and strength. Masterji is the only one who is resisting against Dharmen Shah. At the end, he also dies because as per the capitalist theory, we hardly see anybody surviving against capitalism. That is what this Masterji is portraying. He has a memory with this building. Again, see, building is used here as a metaphor. Again, it is used as a memory for Masterji himself. Then Shah, memory and weakness. The same building for him, it is a memory as well as weakness because it is the same building which is going to be the reason of his fall. That is how it is connected. Then Visramites fail to achieve the happiness. Guilt is there. So what they are actually doing? So these Visramit, in a way, residents of that building, they are accepting the offer, rather a huge amount of money from this Dharmen Shah. And now they are living in luxurious hotel type houses, which is in a way, Dharmen Shah wanted to call it as a Shanghai, the Shanghai. And then what happens to this all the people, those who are now shifted to this new building? So they are now suffering for guilt. So what is the reason behind this guilt? Because they in a way murdered that Masterji, who wanted to in a way talk against this Dharmen Shah. The industry now, I would like to quote some of the quotation in a socialist economy. The small businessman has to be a thief to prosper. So, for example, if we look at everything from this Dharmen Shah's perspective, so now he has to be thief to, rather we can say the theory of survival. So he is choosing, or rather we can use proverb like this by crook, hook or crook. So this is the method he's using. Before he was 20, he was smuggling goods from Dubai and Pakistan. Yes, what compulsion did he have about dealing with the enemy? When he was treated as a bastard in his own country, he's getting lots of offer outside, but not in his own country. That is what leads him to do such things. It raises the question of this equity. It means there is no equity for everybody. A man of our generation, we have seen much trouble, wars, emergencies, election. We can survive, but three pages, yes. Then later, the same man pays his dead wife, Punima, stoop down and it leaves me from this land of the living. Again, this quotation also is connected with this novel. Visramit versus Masterji. Now, see, death of academia. We are seeing that the role of academia is very important in any nation. They have to resist against such ideologies. But now, what is happening? That even academias are failing to resist against this political juggernaut. So this is what is happening. There is capitalism. Then there is this, what we can say, these institutions are falling. Academic institutions attempt to resist such a juggernaut, but succumbs to the individualized rise. There is this personal rise is coming. Like if I'm getting succeed, then I don't want to look what is happening with other people. See, this is the finding now. What prompts the is next? What prompts the ambivalence? Slower economic growth. This is the finding. Widening inequality, societal divisions, amending laws, individual happiness, integrated ruling class, political ideological project. So this is the finding which we can see this. This leads to this capitalized society. This leads to ambivalence. In conclusion, raises disturbing question about contemporary ideas of national development. Like, see, if we see these skyscrapers, we cannot generalize this is the development. On the same side, we can see slums as well. So sometimes we feel that this is not the conclusion which we are looking for. Yes, then at the end it forces assassination, murder, or suicide. This is how our title is getting connected with. This is the reference, and here you can see as emoji. Yes, just yes, that I saw bats. Now you see again it is full of ambivalence. So I saw bats. You can connect with this. So a tool, then this bats. In a way, we can see this playing with the words. Okay, thank you. I'm there only.
Very excellent subject with nuances and novel ideas. Then you have brought to the light of life and presentation. Yes, hegemony of ruling powers and actually the second part is civil people, vessels and business. Yes, somewhat the concept is there in Indian most specific to India also. But here, the Bengali writer Mahashweta Devi. Mahashweta Devi's other works are not taken into consideration. As far as the concept is concerned, we have considered it nicely, but there's some works The writer, the study. Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir. So next presenter, Mayuri Pandya. So I would like to call my own self. Contrastive depiction of African women in joys of motherhood and petals of blood. In this topic, I was given my dissertation. Next, please. Abstract. Next. Feminism is a crucial topic in African literature. As we know that it was started from the Western society. It is an ideological movement that seek to establish equal rights for women and men in all aspects of society, including politics, economics, and culture. Feminism in African literature is expressed through the portrayal of female character. So I am choosing the two texts, Joys of Motherhood and Petals of Blood. Joys of Motherhood, written by Buchi M. Cheta, a women writer, published in 1979. It was a novel. Central character is a new ego, a female character, and a portrayal of the traditional African literate society. Sorry, traditional African society, and focuses on the motherhood. The novel is a representation of women in a traditional African setting where women's worth is determined by their ability to bear a children and fulfill the expectation of their husband. A new ego is a central character. In her first marriage, she was getting a divorce because of infertility, and then she got 9 children in her second marriages. The all the plot of this novel is surrounded by the motherhood and the suffering of the woman, and post-colonial aspect is also there. Through the no ego's character, Ancheta portrays the importance of the education for the woman and the rights to make their own choices. Also, it was about poverty, struggle, children, everything. From the original novel, there are some dialogue which is portrayed that no ego is a more traditional woman by her thinking. She was struggling for her children, no doubt. She was independent economically, but though she have her thinking is more traditional than my another novel's character, female character Vanja. Petals of Blood is a novel that explores the lives of 4 individuals who are united by their struggle against the oppressive system of colonialism and capitalism in Kenya. Uh, Three male protagonists and one is a female protagonist. Vanja is one of the central character in Gugiwa Thiong'o's novel Petals of Blood. She is a young woman who works as a bar girl in a town of Ilmoro, and she is considered a symbol of the exploitation and degradation faced by the women in post-colonial Kenya. Despite her difficult circumstances, Vanja is portrayed as a strong and a resilient individual who refuses to be defeated by her circumstances. She was a strong, no doubt, but though she faced a many past incidents which leads her in all whole novel, and she was suffering by the male domination society. These are the original dialogue from the novel, which is shown that both the female characters are strong, no doubt, both are independent economically, both having the craving for the motherhood, but though both are suggesting, in my point of view, they both are the construct contrast character like Nuigo whole novel craving for the motherhood while Vanja have the baby, but she was thrown her baby into a latrine. Contrastive woman character, the joys of motherhood. Nuigo is the woman who is struggling to find her place in patriarchal society. Petals of blood. Vanja is the more strong woman character. The role of motherhood. Nuigo is the ideal mother, while Vanja is a crave for child, but also she was one woman who threw her newborn baby into latrine. Nuigo have only one male in her life, her husband Naife, and while Vanja was having more than four relationships in her life. Vanja chose her relationship with men, all the male character in the novel, and she make her own decision. And Nuigo is not educated, belonging from the traditional and village background, while Vanja is belong from the city life, and she was lived in the village, but she was educated. Conclusion. In conclusion, the portrayal of feminism in African literature is the crucial in highlighting the struggle of women in patriarchal society. The novels The Joys of Motherhood and Petals of Blood provide insight into the evolution of feminism in African literature, the importance of women's agency in society. The contrastive women's character in the two novels highlight the different approaches to feminism, the need for women to have agency, and challenging the oppressive system of the society. Thus, novels serve as a reminder that the fight for gender. Work citation. Thank you. For our next research paper presentation, I would like to call Dhruvita Dhamelia. Thank you. Shall I start, sir?
Hello everyone, myself Dhruvita Dhamelia. I am going to talk about the portrayal of youth and their success over life issue in Chetan Bhagat selected works. Next please. This is the abstract of my dissertation. In the abstract, I given the information about what is in my paper. Next please. The objective of this study is the primary objective of this study is to explore the vision for modern urban youth in a Chetan Bhagat's writing, focusing on the way in which he presents his character. Second objective of this study is to examine the political and social issues of middle class society portrayed in the Girl in Room Number 105 and One Arranged Murder by Chetan Bhagat. The third objective of this paper is to establish the national issue impacting the lives of youth in Chetan Bhagat's selected novels. Through the struggle and success of his young protagonist, Bhagat highlights the changes faced by Indian youth in areas such as education, employment, and personal relationship. Next, please. Table of content, brief introduction of Chetan Bhagat, introduction of novel, the political and social issue, portrayal of youth and their success, ethos of modern life, and conclusion.
Chetan Bhagat. Chetan Bhagat is an Indian writer, author, columnist, speaker. Bhagat is the best author, best five author. He's, he is the author of 5 best-selling novel, and his novel also became a film. Chetan Bhagat has emerged as a leading voice in contemporary Indian literature with his 9 novels that explore themes such as a campus life, love, sex, marriage, and career building. Chetan Bhagat's writing style is different from other contemporary writers. His simplicity of writing the novel has impressed the youth reader. The issue that we feel our own reflected in his writing. His men and women observe morality in warm heartness of human relation. They are acquire in nature. They believe success come to those who crave for particular practicability. Chetan Bhagat writes about how India can be progressive society in the future. He talks about the rampant corruption in the Indian and how society should change to read it. The central theme of his novels is central to his dream of free and forward thinking India. Next, please. The Girl in Room Number 105, the novel about the protagonist Keshav Raj Purohit and the woman protagonist Zara Lon from Kashmir. She is the Muslim girl and the boy is a Hindu. So it is the novel about how the religion matter a lot in the one's relationship. Another, the novel follow the different theme from the previous novel of Chetan Bhagat, as this novel talk about the murder mystery. In the previous all the novel, Chetan Bhagat talk about the love story and relationship, career building and all these things. But in this novel, he follow different theme. Like this novel talk about the murder mystery and quite suspense novel. One another novel, One Arranged Murder, is the extension of the novel The Girl in Room Number 105. Both the novel have a same theme storyline. Like in the first novel, also the women protagonist died in the starting of the novel, and in second novel also the woman protagonist died. Second, how political and social issue we find in this both the novel, as in both the novel the case of murder is there, so obviously there is a police and the corruption are there. The boy's father in the Girl in Room Number 105, the Punit's father is from the political party. He is the member of RRS. In the character, through the character of his, Chetan Bhagat shows that how the political party interfere a lot in the life of the people. As P. Sujata writes in her article that Chetan Bhagat write about how India can be progressive society in the future. He talks about the rampant corruption in India and how society should change to read it. The novel Girl, Room Number 105 highlights the issue of corruption within the police force and political parties. Throughout the novel, Keshav and his friend Saurabh encounter several obstacles in their pursuit of justice due to the corrupt practice of the political and police parties. In his novel, The Girl in Room Number 105, Bhagat highlights the issue of coaching classes also. The education theme of education is shown here. Next, please. How Chetan Bhagat portrays the youth and their success in the life. The Chetan Bhagat is known for his portrayal of youth of middle class society. His character are relatable to the young generation who strive to be successful in their careers and lives. His character are projected with all requires newness, but not in the single place. They are seen violating an Indian culture and ethics. Through his story, he highlights the struggle of the youth and how they overcome them to achieve their goals. Life is one of In one of the interview, Chetan Bhagat says that life is one of those races in nursery school where you have to run with the marble in a spoon kept in your mouth. If the marble falls, there is no point in coming first. Next, please. Ethos of modern life. How he portrayed these are the ethos he portrayed in both the novel. The pursuit of personal ambition and success, the tension between tradition and modernity. That in both the novel he talk about how their character is struggling between the traditional life and modern life. They are struggle between the Western mentality and the Indian mentality. Explore the way in which technology has transferred various aspects of modern life. How the technology affect the life of the character, like social media affect a lot with the character's life. Injustice and prejudice that exist in Indian society, particularly with regard to caste, gender, and class. How the in the relationship in the both the novel, Keshav and Zara want to get married, but due to their religion they are not able to get married. Next, please. Conclusion. So the research aimed to analyze the novel of Chetan Bhagat, which shed light on the concern and issue faced by young Indians as they navigate their roles in the new India and explore what it means to be part of new generation of India. Through this study, the researcher seeks to examine the various themes reflected in Bhagat's novel that are relevant to contemporary Indian realities. The dissertation also examines various themes that are relevant to contemporary Indian society, such as social and economic inequality, gender role and relation, educational opportunity, and the impact of technology and social media. Through the analysis of this theme, the researcher aims to provide a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by young people in modern India and how they navigate their roles within a rapidly changing society. During the research on Chetan Bhagat, there are some limitations also, like these both novel are latest novels, so there is not such much research has been done. So it is difficult for the researcher to bring some new idea. It is only limited to my understanding and my perspective with previous novel of Chetan Bhagat. Next, please. These are my work citation. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next presentation, I would like to call Nirav Amrelia.
Should I put it? Will it be fine if I put them? No, just keep them this way. Yeah, that's fine. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, well, hello, I am Nirav Amrelia. And today in this seminar, I am going to discuss the topic, or we can say a hypothesis, that is realism and critique of social, religious, and economical relationship to individual freedom in George Orwell's novels. There are two novels I have picked up. One is A Clergyman's Daughter, and the second one is Keep the SPD Flying. So, next, please. So I have made some hypotheses that we going to ponder over. The very first one is that why should we regurgitate the two topics like poverty, authoritarianism, religious bigotry? So what's the need basically? Why to chew it again? Why to regurgitate? Why to ruminate it? And the second is, does Orwellian insight serve any purpose for present life? In inspecting cultural dynamics. So it is the second hypothesis. Third one is the religion versus individual freedom in A Clergyman's Daughter. So what basically Orwell does is that he always depicts the dystopian society in all his works, ranging from essays, novels, many things. And the fourth topic is, can Dorothy here, our protagonist of The Clergyman's Daughter, can Dorothy here be seen as a Devdasi? So I have taken a comparison. I have juxtaposed this Dorothy and the ritual or the rite of this Devdasi in India, as far as religious strictures are concerned. And the fifth one is the conflict of art versus capitalism. So there it is kind of age-old conflict, and it is never ending. Like there is capitalism and how the artist will sustain against it. So it is there in Keep the SP Distra Flying. So first, let me make a point clear that what SP Distra is. It is a plant, and it basically used to be there in the England in early modern era. So around 1930. So after post First World War, the Great War. So the Aspidistra is a plant. So the people used to refer that keep it flying. So keep your things going on even if you don't have ample amount to live on. So you don't have economical stability. Still keep on living. So this keep the Aspidistra flying. So and the sixth one related to the fifth one is that Ken Gordon Comstock. Now who is Gordon Comstock? He is the central or the major character of our novel Keep the Aspidistra Flying, written by Sir George Orwell. So can Gordon Comstock be seen as a realistic depiction of the aspiring writers who face the problems, like, so the omittance is there but fine, so who face the problem like in real life, how will they sustain? So only artistry will not make them sustain their life. So next slide please. Now the very first thing, so why should we regurgitate? So these things are very like you can say cliche, passe, we can say. So this poverty, so everybody knows about what poverty is. There are types of poverty. Those who poverty rather. So those who study economics, they know it very well. So but and the second thing, authoritarianism. We have seen many world war that this Adolf Hitler is there, Benito Mussolini is there, and many other dictators are there. So everybody knows that, even the child knows. Then what is the need of regurgitating? So what regurgitate means, let me clarify. So mammals like cows and buffaloes, like they once they have eaten the food, and when they are sitting in a kind of shelter or solace, we can say. So they will ruminate it. So they will chew it again from there. So why do we need? Why is there a need to regurgitate them again and again? So again, so I have Amartya Sen. We all know that he was a Nobel laureate in economic field. So Amartya Sen, in the beginning of his essay, the very first line he writes that much about poverty is obvious enough. So everybody knows that. One does not need elaborate criteria, cunning measurement, or public analysis. So he tells that poverty must be analyzed through the statistical data. So, but it is not so that we should overlook the poverty we see around us. Like we have seen many people like around us, they're not even having some a kind of shelter for them, and even our law books are not containing any homelessness like nom-dom policies there in Britain. So those who are not having homes still they survive on the government policy. But in India, it is kind of difficult because you need your Aadhaar, you need some many things to identify yourself in order to get some we can say this help from the government. And this second quotation is that it is Wilfred Guerin. So we all know that Wilfred Guerin is the leading cultural critic in field of cultural studies. Okay, so he says a tyrannical aristocrat. Now we are see from poverty we are moving to this authoritarianism. So now what Wilfred Guerin has to say, he says that a tyrannical aristocrat does not just independently wield power, but is empowered by discourses, accepted ways of thinking, writing, and speaking, and practices that embody exercise and amount to power. See, now it is very well known fact that Hitler was not Hitler was not risen by himself. So he was support from the people, and the hearings he made in political conventions. So all the people were like charming that okay, you are the most charismatic person. So now how the dictator rises? It is not by himself or herself. It is by the support of the people. The discourse around made around the people that this person, like we have the concept of avatar in Indian mythology or Indian theology, we can say. So this concept of avatar is what? Like a human is born and he does something marvelous that the other human fails to do. Then we say, okay, you are avatar. You are the avatar or reincarnation of God or the Supreme Lord. So it is the thing, and that is why we fail to criticize that person. Even if that person does bad, we just want to like concoct some theory around it that we say, okay, you've done this bad, but there is some good into it. So that we do that. And for that, these discourses are very important. Now, next, please. And now the second hypothesis is that does Orwellian insight. So first of all, I have given the definition taken from this Oxford and languages. Does Orwellian insight serve any purpose for present time in inspecting cultural dynamics? So well, it is not so that once a writer has written something, it is completely forgotten in the next coming ages. No, it is not so. Whatever he or she has written must be remembered because historical sense, as T.S. Eliot in his essay said, tradition and individual, the pastness of the past. So whatever is done must be remembered in order to not to repeat if the mistake is done. Okay, so it like cultural amnesia that our Carl Jung is giving this term, the very famous psychologist, like a contemporary of Sir Sigmund Freud. So it is the thing. So what definition of Orwellian we get from the Oxford Languages Dictionary, that characteristic or the features of the writings of George Orwell. So especially with reference to his dystopian account of a future totalitarian state in a 1984. So in 1947 the novel was written, and in 1948 it was published. So in that he imagines a dystopia where all the controls were taken by the government authoritarian inks of party. He imagines the England, but it like we can say it is pertinent to each and every culture where the despot, or we can say the authoritarian, the kleptocratic power rules in the name of government, in the name of state policy. So just imagine being in such a state, geologically, mental and physical as well. So how one feels that once a total freedom is curbed by the state policy, government, one autocrat ruler. So it is the thing. And now Timothy Garton, as he is a very a critic or a paper writer, Timothy Garton's review of Peter Davis's The Complete Works of George Orwell, entitled, he says, but he compares Orwell in a bit negative or a neutral way, we can say. So he says, yet Orwell was no Shakespeare. That what Shakespeare can take height whenever it comes to him. Yet Orwell was no Shakespeare. Orwell fails to do. He was not a universal genius, nor was he a natural master of the English language. So how can even Orwell writes the politics in the English language? Still, these kind of statements are made on him. So it is a kind of thinkable on that. And Norman Collins are there, and many things. Nick Bentley. Proceed to the next one. Yeah. Now, the hypothesis next, that religion versus individual freedom. So there is a age-old conflict, like in our American transcendentalism, we have this individualism or individual freedom, we can say, in a clergyman's daughter religion. So there is always a clash between individual freedom that you want to do something, but your pope, your priest, your pujari, mullah, or whoever is there in the authority, like we are having four institutions in Victorian society. That one of them is the religious institution where Pope rules. Only too far. Okay. Then proceed to the next one. Then again go. Acha, keep this. So the can Dorothy here be seen as a Devdasi as far as religious strictures are concerned? So how Devdasis were there? Like they were offered to the god, or somebody would call it the whore or prostitute of god. So now our protagonist Dorothy here is doing the same. She's having the same things like I want to do for my father is my father is like a priest or pope in there. So I have to be like the ideal Christian girl. So that concept she wants to leave, but she ultimately fails because she falls in an amnesia and she went to the new state. Fine, now proceed. Acha, now this conflict of art, that is, it was like we can say it was already discussed. Like there is an artist who wants to live on the basis of their art. So now the capitalism comes. Now proceed to the again. Yes. So now this picture tells a thousand words according to the theme. See now the person is drawing something round. So first of all we look at him. He is an artist. So he's making some drawing. But this art he makes like the rupee, and the rupee falls on him and he like dies there. So he makes his art use of to earn money. So now the whole artistry. So in Kazuo Ishiguro's An Artist of the Floating World, we are getting this four conflict: that art for art's sake, the Seiji Moriyama, art for life's sake, this our protagonist Masuji Ono, art for business sake, Takeda firm, and art for a nation's or imperialism sake, that Chisu Matsuda. So these things are there. So proceed to the next one. Okay. So now this hypothesis remains that Gordon Comstock. So I have taken some three real life writers who have failed like Gordon Comstock at the end of the novel fails. He thinks, okay, I want to leave my job, I want to just be a full-time writer, but he fails to do so, and ultimately he comes again back to his job. So these are the three. Stephen King is there. His this book, the Tommy Knockers, Kurt Warner. So these are the things. So these are my works cited, and here I am. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Hero, Umbrella. Individual freedom. अच्छा है social reality and economic individual.
For next presentation, I would like to call Vachalata Joshi.
Okay. Very good afternoon, everyone. So, I, Vachalata Joshi, going to present my research paper on the topic social criticism in and human predicament in the wasteland, and a poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg, and this is the modern age poems. Set. This is the table of content. In this presentation, I'm going to deal with two theories, which is the social criticism and beat generation. And we can say, we can call jazz age to the beat generation. The cultural manipulation in Westland and American Dream, COVID and Westland, Howl, the poem and the American Dream, human predicament in Westland and human predicament in Howl, and conclusion. So let us begin with the introduction to the theories. The social criticism is a term which deals with the societal issues, kind of economic, cultural, and societal context, in which we can include the financial crisis, religious degradation, spiritual degradation, sexual perversion, and the term beat generation is described as a postmodern American cultural phenomenon, and that peaked in 1950s and 1950s. So we can say that it has been a rise from the modern age, and we have a lot of great works from the modern age. Like first of all, I want to mention The Great Gatsby, as it was the one of the best of jazz age description in it. by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now moving to the wasteland, we all know that it has been structured in five parts. It has it is a multilingual, multiple verses, fragmented imaginary. It has the themes like spiritual degradation, religious degradation, sexual perversion, and human predicament in wasteland. And the same as that, the poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg has divided into three sections. It also has free verse. It is exploration of taboo. It has rejected the traditional values. In this image, we can see that the drug use in the younger age, the homosexuality and child abuse. This has been the exploration of taboo mentioned in the poem Howl. The cultural manipulation in the Howl. Shweta, can you please change the sheet? In the wasteland, in second section, game of chess, it implies manipulation of society and dictates the society's level through the description of sexual encounters. He demonstrates how societal norms and people's lifestyle have changed dramatically. He emphasizes both the crumbling societal hierarchy and high quality of life. His line openly expressed the perverted mind's delusionment. It marks the beginning of a new era in which the mind, body, and soul are assumed to be liberated and liberal. But the poet sees a type of setback for the modern era. Sensual pleasures and immoral activities peaked during the 20th century. So, when in our class we had the movie screening of The Great Gatsby, we can see the modern era was at its peak of sensual pleasures and immoral activities. Wasteland as American Dream. In this, Eliot suggests that modern society has lost touch with the spiritual and cultural roots, uh, and he uses reference to mythology, religion, and literature to suggest that there is no longer a coherent cultural narrative can provide meaning and purpose. So we have seen that Eliot has mentioned a lot of mythical examples in his poem to compare that era with modern age. That there has been a lot of change from the mythical illusions to the actual society, and we can see the things mentioned in the wasteland has been still going on. We have the recent example of COVID-19 when we had this COVID, and as that Spanish flu was. It says that each 100 times and kind of flu or kind of human predicament says that in thousands years back we had Spanish flu. Before that we had that plague, and now we have COVID. So in part that COVID was over time the symbol used in the poem have been depicted, making it important social document. Now, moving to COVID and wasteland, the poem was likely inspired by the impact of World War One and its aftermath on society. So, after World War One, there has been a lot of literature has been generated because of during the World War One. The lot of people were locked in their home, like people, the normal people who used to work like 9 to 5, not in army, has been in home. They have generated a lot of literature around that era. So, from there we have got this poem that wasteland was one of that, as Eliot was locked in some place where he was working. So from that the wasteland was generated as the concept of writing during pandemic lockdown. It was from the wasteland which the poet to search for symbols to represent experience that could not be expressed directly. Howl and American Dream. The American Dream, the poem portrays a society that is repressive and conformist, characterized by a Moloch. Moloch was a a metaphor used for industrial capitalist system that suppress individual expressions and creativity. So it is used for the younger generation. Like we are from 90s, and now the Gen Z generation is way developed. Their mind is way developed than us. So in a way that it has been seen as the system is seen as having a dehumanizing effect on individual, leading to feelings of isolation, loneliness, and despair. So many of us we have going through a lot of anxiety attacks, panic attacks due to loneliness and physical attacks. As well as the mental attacks on our self. The poem explores the struggle of individuals to break free from the system and asserts their own identity desires. The struggle is often to portray in terms of sexuality, with the characters in the poem seeks to explore their own desires in a way that challenges and it has conventional norms. So in this poem, Howl, the poet Allen Ginsberg is has a humor that he has a homosexually involved in the such literary things. So it has been said that the modern age was right from the beginning was very, we can say, very generative through there has been a lot of modern literary movements. We can say Dadaism, then absurdity and existentialism. These are the new things which has evolved as modern era in the 20th century. In conclusion, I would like to say that the poem is powerful critique of modern American society. So both poem is being the best example. Not we cannot say the best example, but a powerful critique of modern American society, and it values and it speaks against conformity, consumerism, and materialism that Ginsberg saw as a dominant in his time. The poem is also notable for its frank depiction of homosexuality and drug use both. So in 20th century, we have been habituated and learned to speak out about the homosexuality, drug use, and sexual attacks and child abuse. So as that Elias' depiction of spiritual degradation in the wasteland is often seen as a reflection of a larger cultural and intellectual trends of the early 20th century. Many writers and thinkers of the time were grapplingly with a similar question about the nearing meaning of life and nature of human condition. Eliot's work in particular helped to define the modernist movement in literature, which was characterized by its skepticism of traditional values and its emphasis on the subjective experience of the individual. Thank you. These are the work cited. Thank you.
For the next presenter, I would like to call Divya Sheta.
Good afternoon, sir and dear friends. I, Divya Shetty, student at Department of English, MK Bhavnagar University. I'm going to present my presentation on approaching cyber feminism in selected online games. Next, please. Table of content. Abstract. So for the cyber feminism is the very critical and still emerging theory in English studies that in cyber feminism we can read and we can study women and technology, the relationship of women and technology, how women depicted in technology, or how women, or how the very depiction of their every gender biases we can read in technology. So cyber feminism is the way that we can read and we can illustrate the gender biases
we can illustrate the feminist concern. So in this presentation, I analyzed two games. One is Goddess of Era, is still a new game, is RPG game, mobile game. It is started in July 2022, and Life is Strange. It was started in 2013. Next, please. Next. So introduction. As I said that the word cyber is connected with biology and technology. So cyber feminism emphasize the connection between women and technology and the internet. Where are women in cyber or feminist or those who are genuinely concerned about women's identity must ask if there is biased reading in cyber domain. So why this is still so as we know that in gaming culture still women's number of playing games is still not higher as men are playing games. So it is the another concern. So next please. So, what is cyber feminism? So, the word cyber that is combination of cybernetic and organism, that biology or the body depiction. It was first coined by Manfred Klein and Nathan Klein in 1916. Described a theoretical being that is a mixture of biological and artificial components. As Merriam-Webster dictionary gives the meaning a bionic human. So the word bionic, that cyber itself suggests and itself it study biology and technology. So we can read marginalized reading in cyberspace. But here, the marginalized specific reading, we can read that cyber feminism. So Donna Harvey, the very prominent figure and very prominent author in very prominent theorist in cyber feminism, Donna Harvey said that a hybrid of a machine and organism, a creature of social reality as well as a creature of fiction. Next, please. So analysis of game one, Goddess of Era. So in the game that there is a figure one that we encounter first, that the Goddess of Alice, that the starting picture of the game. So the very depiction of the woman is the gesture. We can say that it is seems like rather depiction of woman's body rather than warrior. So in the game, many female characters, many warriors have a different kind of equipment. They have different kind of their qualities to fight against their enemies. But still, the concern is that there is more jiggling character or the feature of zooming character or zooming that picture is still zooming that particular body parts. So is still the concern of like a more depicted, more sexualized way to convey that she is warrior. But we can say that the clothes that given by the game so developer or whoever there, it is more sexual portrait. Next, please. So I collect several comments in Google Play Store and differentiate that comments. So first aside, we can say that some very hard to find that some user are really concerned of females depiction in games. So one user said that images are sexual, derogatory, and disrespectful and inappropriate towards women. So very hardly find this and naked game and nothing to pay here. So and generic over sexualized, but nothing special. And another side, we can read that some comments are like that depiction. Some users like the woman's depiction there. Next, please.
So in the game, in the very short of time, I played 25 levels. There are 200 and more female characters are there. But unfortunately, I just played 25 levels of the game, and so far that these analysis concerned, and the goddess of era, there is one feature is that guilds. So by players who we can shift this kind of maybe this kind by shifting from the playing, or we can consume that women players can be playing in guilds and can playing in groups, or can empower their abilities to fighting through that in gaming characters. So these feature guilds. So by using that, women can build strong communities and support network within the gaming community. So that can be the solution. Growing. So that can be the solution. Next slide, please. So second game is Life is Strange. There are lots of research works done in this game. So this is very popular narrative-driven video game, and again RPG game. So the character is protagonist is Max, Blady character, who have the ability to rewind the time, and who described herself that she is the living time machine, human. Next slide, please. So this three author highlights that the unconventional romantic engagement. So Max, while she meet her friend, childhood friend, after at the end of the game, we can study that Max is very much connected with her female friend. But and next slide, please. So, and while Max was connected with her female friend, and another Warren, the guy who liked Max, but Max is rather very much in relation with her female friend. So that heterosexuality at the end of that game, while the option is the choices is given that save that tornado were towards that city. So while we enter that game as a protagonist Max, so we the game coding that gives us the three choice to save Max, to save Max friend, or to save the city, or to save both. So while clicking or by choosing save both, the character kissed her female friend. So that heterosexuality is presented in the way. So while I'm involving in the game, I'm very I'm very like I'm going to act diverse with that sexual depiction on that particular game. So while concluding this approach, still by examining selected online games, we can identify the ways in which these games perpetuate to or challenge gender norms and stereotypes. As I earlier said that in online games, there are less number of females role, or less number that females are playing the games. So the to this can be the further research to analyze more and more online games, more RPG games, or multiple massive RPG games. We can approach, or we can analyze, or we can lead the cyber feminist approach in more way. So this is my presentation. Works cited. Thank you.
For our next presentation, I would like to call Hinaba Surveya.
Hello everyone, I am PG student, Department of English, MKBU University, and my topic is a comparative study, the human nature relationship in Rupert's novels Akubar and Samudrantika. Next. The abstract, eco-criticism is a field of literary and cultural study that focuses on the relationship between the humans and natural world, exploring how this relationship is represented in literature and culture. And this research paper analyzes the representation of environment issue through the character in Rupert's novel Akubar and Samudra Dike. By comparing two novels, the study examined both engagement with the environmental concern, including the representation of nature, the human environment, the relationship, and the sequences of environmental degradation. The focus of environment themes of the novel. Next. First, we have looked at the what is the eco-criticism. This word eco-criticism derived from two words, ecology and criticism. This word ecology comes from Greek word oikos, meaning a household, home, and place to live. The word was coined by German biologist Hermann Haeckel in 1869. This word was known as archaeology. Then is a later this word ecology in 19th century, also known as ecology, and in use with reference to anti-biologic activity from the 1960s. And ecology is eco-criticism was often officially heralded by the publication of two seminal works, which is why in the first that in 1990s the eco-criticism reader landmark in literary ecology that is edited by Jerry Goldfelty and Harold Fenn, and another essay is William Ruckett's essay, The Literature and Ecology, and experimented in ecology. That is prominent work. And according to Charlie Goldfelty in What is Eco-Criticism, that is the definition that eco-critic encourage others to think seriously about the relationship of humans to nature and about the ethical and aesthetic dilemmas posed by environment crisis and about how language and literature transmit value with a profound environmental implication. As a critic, an eco-critical is interested in how literary texts can contribute to environmental awareness, sustainability, and ecological justice. And eco-critics seeks to promote a greater understanding of interdiscipline between the human and the natural world, and encourage a critical engagement with the environment issue and literary cultural context. And first, I have deals the comparative of two works that is based on Rupert's novel Akupar and Samudra. The first we have looked at the comparative study. In Das article, Why Comparative Indian Literature. This article written by Shashi Kumar Das, that he highlights that importance of re-evaluating the use of term comparative in the study of Indian literature, and thus argue that by looking beyond the national borders and exploring the shared heritage of Indian literature, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of literary tradition of India. This involves looking at the similarity and differences between literary traditions from different religions and language, and recognize the importance of multilingualism in Indian society and literature. And this paper is central of a comparative study of two Gujarati novels, is Akupar and another is Dhruvat. In Akupar, the English translation is The Blue Marble by Vishal Bhadani sir, and Samudranke translated by Vinod Meghani. And another slide. And in this title of the novel, that is in Akupar, which means unfelt, formidable, and infinite. emphasize the timeless natures of the gift for us, an ability to represent the despite past destruction. And in this title suggests that in this novels are deeper connections of the humans and nature very well, and it's represent the value of natures, not just an resource for the human, but also as a living breathing entity that deserve respect and protection. And another is the Samudrantike's title is Ocean Side Blue, that place emphasize the an ocean. Ocean is the represent the vastness of nature and human connections of it. And ocean is not only as a nature element, but as a cultural and spiritual one. Next slide. And in this novel, the concept of earth and water element used in both the novel. It's the five elements that we know that a Panch Mahabhut Tattva, that in the fire, earth, water, and space. And in these two novels, two elements are important. Element used in the Akupa novels, that is the quote is dedicated to earth, who is formed by fires and engaged in sky, emerged from water, is brought to life by winds, and that even to this day has sustained all the four. That is in the starting line, in not be starting, that is this line also represents the novels. It's the earth elements are central to represent the novels of Akbar. And in this novel of Akbar, that is the unnamed narrator who went to the beach, and he is in the project to draw the painting of the beach. He is chosen one element, that is the earth element. And the novel Samudrantika depicts the lives of pastoral community and how they thrive in the harsh pastoral environment. The novel emphasizes the how nature is essentially for the survival of living beings, including humans, and how it's helped them to adapt to changes world and around them. Next slide. And the both the novels in the many things we can see that in both the novels the human are also connected with the nature. It's represented through the character. That is in first we look at the character, the cultural anthropology is the interpreting science who main the task is provide a reading of the text of the cultural in the fullest sense of the term, including that constant, that flaws and contradictions. And we look at the novels of Akbar, that is one of the character of the Dhanu, that he was a forest guard who in the one incident we could find he injured the lion. That time he attacked by the lion. That time Dhanu remained the side or positive side of lion, and he loved and Dhanu gave to three proof that why lion don't want to kill. That he given the three proof that is lion is not intentionally to kill for me. And it's a represent the reflection that trust the people of Gate have the animal compassion and their belief in the importance of coexistence and harmony between humans and animals. And another Ocean Side Blue, that is another character is Noor Bhai said one quotation that he very conscious about the nature. He tells that the brutalities of man on this universe no less than fiendish. If he had in a way he stuck there dry his mother breast, he very conscious about the nature, and he tells that he used the metaphor that is shocked there by mother breast. That means his human are very selfishness and which humans take and without regret for the consequences. And another character is Sansai, is Akupar. That is, she is a very interventions in discussions about the conversation of lion in Madhya Pradesh leads her to question the idea that humans should decide where the lions can live. And Sansai patiently declares that for the gate is a whether the lion walked, and that the map of the forest for tourists should not dictate where the lion can do. That is know that how the human are connected with the animals and natures. And another is owl, that in one incident that in the surrounding in the flow of surrounding that time the he owl and servant exists the strong ecological sensitive even towards the non-human ethical like to scorpion. And the one is he also is very concerned about the animals and willing to take action to protect them from the harm. Another slide. And Bengali Baba also is predicted that he tells that there was a time when Earth did not exist, then two nature exist. When Earth was born, a ball of fire was. Then come water, seed, and plants. They also perished only to be reborn. Nature is always absolute, unconfit. No one can ever fetter in fault it. Get that into your head. And another slide. And another is Sabur and his wife also be very connected of the relation of the natures and that. And in the both the novels are presented very be connections with the nature. And next slide. This is my work citation and thank you.
For the next research paper presentation, I would like to call Divya Parmar.
બરાબર બેટ છે ને દિવ્યા પરમાર
Hello everyone, myself Divya Parmar and today I am going to present a research paper and my topic is comparative study of Valmiki Ramayana and Ramchandran series by Amish Tripathi and specially I deal with the three topics
narrative technique, character of Ram and character of Ram. Next slide, please. Table of content, abstract, introduction, comparative studies, short introduction of both literary texts, comparison of narrative technique, comparison of Ram's character, comparison of Ravan's character, conclusion and citation. So next slide. Next. I'm not going to read all the abstract. The research tool is comparative study and the method is qualitative descriptive research. Comparative research demonstrates the difference of and similarities between the two subjects. And here I have choose two literary texts, original Valmiki Ramayana and second one is Ramchandran series. The primary purpose of comparative analysis is to explore and enhance comprehension of the causal mechanism involved in the development of an occurrence, characteristics, or connections, typically by evaluating variations in one or more explanatory variables. Overall, comparative studies can be a valuable tool for gaining insight into complex social phenomena and understanding of factors that shape our world. When we choose two literary texts as a comparative study, we can find it here. I have choose Ramayana. So Ramchandran series is a rewriting of the Ramayana, and the character remains same, but the story, the political background, social background, religious background, totally different from each other. Introduction. Valmiki Ramayana and Ramchandran series both are very well-known literary texts and connected with the Hindu mythology in deeply. First one is Valmiki Ramayana, which was written during the ancient time of Adi Kavi Maharshi Valmiki, and that's why Ramayana is known to be a Adi Kavya. Another literary text is the Ramchandran series, which is divided into 4 books. Ramchandran series is written in a contemporary time. So these 3 are my research topics. What is comparative studies? Comparative studies examine and contrast two or more things or concepts. This type of a study demonstrates the ability to investigate, compare, and contrast topics or a concept. Comparative study is not about what is good and what is bad, but it's often a wide way to read any text or read behind what is between the lines. When we read any text, our social background, political background, economical background, the thinking process of the society, all are connected in one text. And we can read that Valmiki Ramayana is written in ancient time, and Ramchandran series is written in contemporary time. So, background of both novel, both series and a literary text is totally different. Next slide, please. Here we can see the brief introduction about both literary novels. Valmiki Ramayana is an ancient Indian epic that tells the story of Rama and the prince of Ayodhya and his quest to rescue his wife Sita from the demon king Ravan. It is a significant culture and religious text in Hinduism, depicting the battle between the good and evil, the highlighting the values of the morality, duty, devoting, and rightness. And the epic is inspired numerous literary and artistic works across the world. And the Ramchandran series is the collection of mythological fiction novels written by Amish Tripathi. This series is a retelling of the story of Lord Rama, and it's set in ancient India. It explores the journey of Ram and his companions as they encounter the various challenges and obstacles in their quest to establish dharma in the world. Now, next slide, please. Comparison of narrative technique. Valmiki Ramayana employs a poetic and lyrical style of writing that is a typical classical Sanskrit literature, whereas the Ramchandran series is used as a modern and contemporary writing style that is more accessible to the modern readers.
Valmiki Ramayana follows the linear and a chronological narrative structure, whereas Ramchandran series employs a non-linear narrative structure with the multiple timeline and flashbacks. When we read Valmiki Ramayana, we can see that the whole story running in a chronological. But when we read Amish Tripachi's narrative, we can find that Ram is constantly going into the flashback. He try to remember his past and all those things where make it is non-linear narrative technique. Valmiki Ramayana relies on a omniscient narrator to tell the story, while the Ramchandran series use the multiple points of view, allowing the readers to experience to the story from the different characters and perspectives. When we read Valmiki Ramayana, it is going to through the point of view of Valmiki. He writes story as he is the observer of the Ram's life. And when we read Amit's narrative technique, we find that all and character one by one telling their own stories. Valmiki Ramayana primarily focus on the story of Rama, whereas the Ramchandran series expand on the supporting characters also. Next slide, please. Another one. Comparative study of the character Ram. In Valmiki Ramayana, Lord Rama is portrayed as an ideal king and a perfect human being who is always follows dharma, rightness at the times. He is man of a great virtue, intelligence, courage, and wisdom. He is loyal to his family, subjects, and follows the path of rightness. Even when faced with the difficult situations, Rama is shown as a compassionate leader who cares for his people and is willing to sacrifice his own happiness for the greater good. In contrast, in the Ramchandran series, we find that the Amish Rama is depicted as a more flawed character who struggles with the doubts and questions in his own actions. He is shown to be a more human, relatable, with the fears and insecurities that he must overcome. He is also portrayed as a more politically savvy ruler who is willing to use cunning and a strategic alliance to achieve his goals. Here I have put two tables like in Valmiki Ramayana, the Ram narrated as a unwavering otherness to the dharma, and in Ramchandran series, doubts and insecurities. In Valmiki Ramayana, idealize and perfection. In Ramchandran series, Ram portrayed as a flaws and mistakes. Lacks of emotional depth and Ramchandran series emotional depth. No significant character and development, growth and development is there in Ramchandra series. In Valmiki Ramayana, there is a spiritual character. Ram portrayed as a spiritual character, and in Ramchandran series, it is described as a human character. Okay. The character of Ravan. In the Valmiki Ramayana, Ravan is depicted as a powerful and a highly intelligent demon king who rule over the Lanka. We can find that here Ravan also portrayed as a villain. He is also a great scholar and musician and deeply devoted to the Lord Shiva. However, his lust for power and wealth leads him to the abduct Sita, the wife of Lord Ram, which is ultimately result in his downfall. In Ramchandran series, Ravana's character is also portrayed as a powerful, intelligent ruler, but with some additional layers to his personality. He is shown as a man who is deeply conflicted and troubled by his past and his relationship with his family. Next slide, please. Here to sum up, by the reading of both literary texts with the tool of comparative literature opens a wider vision to read ancient epic with a new perspective. Rewriting or the retelling of myth makes so many changes according to contemporary times that can be read in these two literary texts. These are my citation. Thank you.
For a final and last research paper presentation, I would like to call Khushbu Makwana.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Mukwana Khushbu, and I will deal with the topic of the journey of self-discovery in Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist and Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha through the lens of existentialism. Next. These are the table contents of the presentation. First, I will give an introduction and then what is existentialism, then existential theme in the Alchemist and the Siddhartha, and that Santiago's journey as an existential journey of self-discovery, some exam, and then I give some of the examples from the text which analyze the existentialism in the Alchemist and I define the Siddhartha's journey as an existence journey of self-discovery, and then I give some of the examples from the novel that illustrate the themes of existentialism. Then conclusion and works cited. First of all, the introduction. The Alchemist by Coelho is a philosophical novel that tells the story of Santiago, who embarks on a journey of his treasure to he has a dream about. Following the way, Santiago meets various individuals who teach him valuable life lessons about following his heart, listening to his institution, and finding his purpose in life. Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. This novel tells about the young man of Siddhartha who embarks on a spiritual journey to find enlightenment. Throughout his journey, Siddhartha encounters different people and experience that challenge his beliefs and leads him to new understanding about the nature of life. This research paper explored the journey from ignorance to knowledge by analyzing the Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha and Paulo Coelho's Alchemist, and to examines its journey to related experience through the lens of existentialism. Uh, then what is existentialism? Existentialism is a philosophical movement that emerged in Europe in the late 19th and 20th, early 20th century, particularly after World War II. It emphasizes the individual existence, freedom, and choice. It is focused on the human condition, particularly on the experience of anxiety, freedom, and meaninglessness. Many existentialism thinkers, such as Jean Paul and others, have explored a theme such as ethnicity, the search of meaning, death, and the human condition. The term existentialism is coined by a Danish theologian and philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. According to Soren, existentialism is a rejection of all purely abstract thinking or purely logical or scientific philosophy. In short, a rejection of absoluteness of reason. Then this is the existential themes in the work of the alchemist and Siddhartha. Santiago's journey as an existential journey of self-discovery. At the beginning of the novel, Santiago is content with his simple life as a shepherd. He meets old king and who tells him about the concept of a personal legend or a personal life purpose. The idea resonates with Santiago, and he decides to pursue his own personal legend by embarking on a journey to find a treasure he has dreamed of. Throughout his journey, Santiago faces numerous challenges and setbacks, but he also learns valuable lessons, and he learns to trust his instincts, to listen to his heart, and embrace the uncertainty and unpredictability of life. And one of the key aspects of existentialism is the idea of personal responsibility and agency. Santiago is responsible for his own journey and the choices he makes along the way. He must take ownership of his decisions and accept the consequences, whether positive or negative. Ultimately, Santiago's journey leads him to discover the true meaning of the treasures he has been seeking all along. It is not material wealth, but rather a deeper understanding of himself and his place in the world. I taken some of the examples from the text for analysis the existentialism in the alchemist. The first quote is told by the old man to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. All the things are one. All the things are one. All the things are one, and when you want something, all the universe conspire in helping you to achieve it. This quote highlights the concept of individual freedom and choice in existentialism. The old man suggests that it is up to individuals to realize their destiny and that the universe will support them in this endeavor. And the second passage shows that the existentialist idea that one's choice and actions determine their path in life. Santiago acknowledges that his decision to follow his dream for finding pleasure is just the beginning of a journey that will take him to unexpected places. Next slide. Siddhartha journey as an existential journey of self-discovery. In the beginning of the novel, Siddhartha is a Brahmin son who has been raised with the expectation of following in his father's footsteps as a religious leader. However, he becomes delusional with the traditional teaching and ritual of his upbringing and decide to leave home to seek a deeper understanding of the world and himself. Throughout his journey, Siddhartha encounters various characters who change his beliefs and assumptions about the world. He meets the aesthetic shamans who teach him about self-denial and discipline. But Siddhartha ultimately realized that this path does not lead to enlightenment. He then meets the Buddha, who represent different approaches to spiritual enlightenment. Although Siddhartha is initially drawn to the Buddha's teaching, he ultimately decides to forget his own path and reject the organized religion and a societal convention that the Buddha represents. Next slide. One of the key aspects of existentialism is the idea of personal responsibility and agency. Siddhartha is responsible for his own journey and must take ownership of his choice and actions. Ultimately, Siddhartha's journey leads him to a profound understanding of the intercontents of all things and the importance of finding balance and harmony in life. Second, some examples from I have taken some examples from the novel Siddhartha. This quote from Siddhartha demonstrates the concept of existentialism that an individual must find meaning and the purpose of themselves. Next. And this quote is defining the river. The river is Siddharth's journey, is a symbol of the existentialist idea of seeking the truth and the unknown. The river represents a path to enlightenment that is both challenging and rewarding. And then conclusion, both the novels, The Alchemist and the Siddhartha, explore the journey of self-discovery through the lens of existentialism by the characters' own life to live their enlightenment and their searching for their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushbu. Sir, if you would like to ques- if you would like to question us, a presenter, then you can. Otherwise, we will wind up this session and distribute the certificate. Yes, sir.
Some comments.
Okay, sir.
Two presenters are to be selected. Must be the task. My part. Is to select any of how can the basis approval. I cannot select. How is it? It's very difficult. Okay. Anyhow, for very tight margin is there. Most of you have presented nicely. Yes, will do. Okay. So actually, since the dawn of the civilization, very beginning, nah, people haven't been content to see events, things as unconnected and inexplicable. We crave the understanding of the underlying order of the world. That is why we have chosen such a vast plethora, different types of subjects. Over hundreds of years from Valmiki, the great sage Valmiki, to Bundes, Chetan Bhagat and DoE-MKBU, and the recent writers via Shakespeare and others, the middle one. As I said, human human being is not content. We want to know why we are here, what we are supposed to do, or yes, human and this deep desire, human beings deep desire, craving, is a justification enough for our continuous quest. Was the great sage Rabindranath Tagore has kept on singing in his hymn, Amrutasya Putraha Vayam. You all are the, then over there I say, let me say, children of the immortal. And the same has been said by Meghan, humankind is Meghan by untiringly persevering to create art and literature, culture and civilization, has successfully thwarted the designs of annihilation. We can never be destroyed as human race, human beings, humankind. અહીંયા અમર રહેવાનું છે, આ બધો વારસો રહી જવાનો. Our papers, our books, our literature would be there for generations to follow. Do but would to go. We'll take leave from this world, but these great things, Samudra and Apupar, the thoughts, the reflections will live forever. Yes, it is not now possible to give individual comments. And as I said, it is decided afterwards. પછીથી તમે કઈ કીધું કે ભાઈ any two papers are to be selected presenters. So please forgive me. It might not be the proper justice. Anyhow, I have selected two. Okay? We'll give the names, but very near about. First of all, very little to comment on individual papers. Yes, Mayuri, sorry, Bharat Muni, Vrunda, એ બધા જતા રહ્યા છે ને વૃત્તિ. Vipul Dabi is here. Yes, Vipul, you are one of the two. Presentation. Otherwise, yes, content, as far as content is concerned, most of you have done quite well. presentation થોડી વાત કરું હમણાં. Yes, the two contradictory aspects you have brought to light by selecting the work. Ne? Ambivalence, ne? Yes. So your presentation was very nice. Psychological aspect, ne, has to be considered somewhat say more. You have considered it.
Yes, psychological term detailed from there.
And then Mayuri Pandya. So yes, feminism in quite different light. આ બંને નામ પહેલા એટલે લઈ લઉં છું કે ભઈ બે મેં સિલેક્ટ કર્યા છે, બરાબર? એટલે મયુરી is also selected. I, yes. Mayuri Pandya. Yes. અને your paper was feminism, ne? Female characters in some African novels. Okay. Yes. Petals of Blood and the other one. That too. Okay. Yes, the points have been noted by me, but we are short of time. Okay. Presentation, as far as presentation is concerned, something common for you all is to be said. હું હમણાં કહું. Then Dhruti's paper, Portrayal of Youth in Chetan Bhagat's. Dhruvita. So yes, nice ideas. But recent says social, political, and national aspects, issues are to be made clear. It was nice one. Nirav, George Orwell's insight is taken particularly for you. You have to give some basic breathing necessary. You are very fast. So sometimes it sounds obscure. So yes, speed is necessary. You were allowed to present only in 10 minutes. But sometimes it sounds obscure. So it is one thing. I have to Bharat Muni Pathai. Inaba, yes, you have considered both the novels from Dhruv Bhatt, comparative and eco-critical. You have gone both ways. It is eco-critical study. And if you compare both the books have to be compared. And the thoughts in nice one, but yes, some might not have enough time, say. But some characters, some dialogues from the characters, the old woman, I forgot the name, Akupar, Aima, the wonderful character, and some wonderful dialogues are there. Particularly the dialect is to be emphasized. Akupar to ખાસ. It is important for શું કહેશો? ગીરની જે બોલી છે ને, it sounds everything, spiritual, even human, everything is there. Okay. દિવ્યા પરમાર. દિવ્યા બે છે ને? દિવ્યા પરમારનું છે પાછું કમ્પેરેટિવ જ છે, વાલ્મીકી એન્ડ રામચંદ્ર સિરીઝ. બરાબર? દિવ્યા વેરી નાઇસ સ્ટડી. But as far as the characters of particularly Ram are concerned, some more light. You have to go somewhat deep.
Sir, I relate with great subject consideration and I have limitation of words and time. That's why
Yes, time limit.
only points.
Yes, nice one. Dilip Bhai is thinking of publishing the papers also. So maybe selected. It is not that you are here and on your face I am praising. But yes, you might have tried nicely. You might have worked well. But as far as presentation is concerned, it is our business to find faults. I mean, you are also going to be teachers and professors very soon. બધા હવે આ ફિલ્ડમાં છો એટલે આવવાના જ છો. પણ અમારો ધંધો થઈ ગયો એવું લાગે એમને. અને nobody likes to see the faults. But sir, presentation common for all. બધામાં થોડું થોડું મેં જુદું તાર્યું પણ એટલો બધો સમય નથી. ક્યારેક મળશું આપણે, મારી પાસે જ છે. મને મારા અક્ષર ઉકેલવા જોઈએ ને પાછા. Yes, presentation in form. So there is the famous lines from the Gujarati poet કાફલી. જુદી જિંદગી છે રિયાજે રિયાજે જુદી ગંદકી છે મારે છે એક જ સમંદર થયું એટલે શું જુદા છે મુસાફર જહાજે જહાજે. હા, જુદા અર્થ છે શબ્દના બોલવા પર છે શબ્દો જુદા અવાજ. When you present the things, man, yes, how you utter the words, the way you utter the words, the space you go while dealing with the words, is very important, particularly paper presentation. You all have great future ahead of you. But yes, while presenting, not only reading is not present. So, yes, second important thing, we are the students of master degree and doctoral degree. બધા મોટા ભાગે PhD વાળા અથવા master degree છો ને, એમ છો ને? એટલે we are going to be the masters of English language and literature. So, yes, MEN, man is, when you speak man, MEN, man, MN, and then you cannot say man is. જેને કીધું મેં અમુકમાં એવા તારવા છે સ્પેલિંગ, બધા માટે કોમન થોડું થોડું આવું આવે. On our part, this is too much. Even graduate students, if they commit mistakes, language and structural mistakes, because we are going to be the two things: presentation, yes, seeing about the environment. Presentation માં 3-4 વસ્તુ જોયું. Environment, you all are aware. આવું આપણું ઘર હતું બરાબર, આમાં ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ છે. આ બધું જોવું ને એમાં તો તમે મારા અત્યારની પેઢી બહુ ચડિયાતી છે. નથી ટુ બી સે આ બધું સિલેક્ટ કરવા મને કહો ને તો હું આ ન ગોઠવે, તમે બધા ફટાફટ કરી નાખો. એન્વાયરમેન્ટ, ઓકે. ધ સેકન્ડ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ થિંગ ઇઝ પ્રેક્ટિસિંગ ધ ડિલિવરી. પછી તો આવી જશે when you become the teachers. That's the practice. As if you are going for some elocution competition. So if you have practiced well, તારા કેસમાં મયુરી ખાસ your content was very nice. તારે કંઈક રહી ગયું એવું લાગ્યું મને કે કોને ખબર કે ટાઈમમાં ન થયું અથવા તું આ કામમાં હશ કે કંઈક something obscure was there. Even if the content subject was nice, but something is found to be lacking, and this requires practice. Practice means not only repeating the same thing, but to go through the way with insight. And every time when we do it, present papers, whenever you get the chance, it is also practice. Not only repeating. બધું બધા પેપર પ્રેઝન્ટ કરો એટલે પ્રેક્ટિસ મળી જશે. ત્યાં ચાન્સ મળે. એટલે you all have tried very nice. અને as I said, આ વસ્તુ ધ્યાન રાખજો, ખાસ કરીને fluency as well as accuracy. Accuracy first. બંનેમાં આવશે, રિટન અને ઓરલ લેંગ્વેજ. આપણામાં ઇઝ, એઝ, હેવ, હેઝ ની ભૂલ ન હોય. હિન્ટિંગ નહીં પહેલી પણ આ વસ્તુ we are the masters English language and literature. આ બચાવવાનું છે. અત્યારે SMS ના બધી લેંગ્વેજ એવી થઈ ગઈ છે, લોકોએ ભાષા ઉપર બળવો કર્યો ભાષાનું પૂન. They are killing language and we are the people to rescue it. I am sure you definitely would do the task. સરસ, you all have. Otherwise, આ તો મેં તમારે ધ્યાન to bring it to your notice, the facts. Otherwise, you are all considering your level. When, to be very frank, to tell you the truth, when we were in MA, we couldn't have presented in this way. તો હવે હું અહીં આવીને 28 વર્ષ ભણાવ્યા પછી તમને કહું છું બરાબર. બાકી હું એમએમાં હતો ત્યારે આટલું બધું પેપર મેં આટલા બધું રામચંદ્ર સિરીઝ ને વાલ્મીકી આટલું બધું જોઈને એટલા પેપર નહોતો લખી. You are on the right track, right path. Grow on, Keep it up. Wish you every best, every love. Thank you very much. And the certificates are to, huh?
Thank you for your notes. We'll definitely work on that.
Okay.
Certificate distribution.
Distribution કરી દઉં ને આપણે right 4 o'clock ને 1 minute is left. બરાબર સમયસર છે વાહ ભાઈ વાહ because of you and you. આ બંને ત્યાં મૂકી દેવાના છે.
આ આપણે હળવી જવાનું.
અને ફરીને કહું છું બહુ બધા નજીક છો બહુ નજીક છો બધા. કોને ત્યાં પ્રેઝન્ટ કરો મને તો એમ થાય છે કે આ બધાને ત્યાં લઈ જાઓ. આ હું મારા જે છે એને મારે આવી કેવું છે ક્લાસમાં એને પછી હું આમ કરી અને અહીંયા મૂકી દઉં છું ને આ તમે બેન લઈ જાઓ લિસ્ટ બરાબર આપણે સિલેક્શન થઈ ગયું છે આ લઈ લો સારે અહીંયા આ આપી દેવાના છે ને અહીંયા તો સરસ બધા આવી જાઓ અહીંયા હું નામ બોલું એ પ્રમાણે આપ બધા ઉભા રહો જો ચાલે તો ચશ્મા પણ કાઢી નાખું અને મજા આવી આઈ એન્જોય યોર કંપની. મહત્વની વાત એ છે મને બપોરનો સમય ફૂલ જમાઈ ગયું હતું દિલીપભાઈ પાસે એમ ઊંઘ આવશે તો એ બીક હતી તમારી કંપની. નીરવ અમરેલિયા નીરવ નાઇસ કન્ટેન્ટ નીરવ. And it is not easy to speak as you go. Yes, Niro. Dhruvita. Divya Parmar. બધા પાર્ટ 2 માં
Last semester, sir.
લાસ્ટ સેમેસ્ટર સેકન્ડ યર હા બરાબર હા ભાઈ વાહ soon going to be assistant professors very good અને દિવ્યા શેટા ઓકે થેન્ક યુ વેરી મચ થેન્ક યુ. હવે કોઈ આ હજી બાકી છે હા આ બધા બાકી છે મને ક્યાં છે લે what વાત્સલ્યતા જોશી વાત્સલ્યતા વેરી ગુડ. હિનાબા સરવૈયા અને ખુશ્બુ મકવાણા. Congratulations you all for getting the certificates and wish you all the best. All the best.